needed pause to address the continuing social justice issues in this country. And I don't think Danny and I are going to focus much on that for this telecast, but we did do a podcast trying to address those issues to the extent that we could on Wednesday night. So we're back here to talk a little bit of basketball now. And I think the place to start, of course, is with the return of one Russell Westbrook, projected to play between 25 and 28 minutes, according to Mike D'Antoni before the game. We'll see if that holds or not.
Yeah, and that brings a few ripple effects to Houston's rotation, really, wherever D'Antoni uses Russell Westbrook. We saw that the non-Harden minutes were always going to be really important with Westbrook absent. D'Antoni staggers his two stars so that one of them is running the offense. And Eric Gordon had his moments, to be sure, but now they can get a form of stability. And also, assuming Westbrook can do this, and I'm assuming if he can, that's why he's playing, is that he can also make Houston a faster team. They have been a much better transition team this year than they were in the past, and really that is a Russell Westbrook change.
Absolutely. The other thing that I think he provides is OKC has started to get some traction with this unit with Danilo Gallinari at center. And they've also gotten some traction with Lou Dort as the main guy on Harden. They don't really have anyone else who can guard Harden other than Lou Dort. So now Russell Westbrook provides a completely different element than James Harden. He's going to attack the rim incredibly hard every time. And he gives another option here for the Rockets to go to, A, when Harden is off the floor, where OKC has largely been winning those minutes the last couple of games, and B, if they want to do any kind of traps on Harden, or if Harden just doesn't have it going, he wants to just rest a little bit, they can give it to Westbrook. And now you have a little bit of a different calculation if you're Billy Donovan, because you're getting away with Houston not being a great rim attacking team without Russell Westbrook. So you can get away without having great rim protection. It becomes more about keeping the guys out of the lane to begin with and covering up on three-point shooters. Westbrook provides a totally different dimension. And without Steven Adams or Nerlens Noel out there, I could see Russell Westbrook causing a ton of problems for OKC getting right to the basket.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so it could have some significant effects for the Thunder rotation as well. And also, I mean, we're taking stock of where we are in this series. I mean, this is a game 5 in a series that is tied, but is also neutral site for the next 3 games. So it is a huge advantage, and nobody has the other team has to win back-to-back games, both on a neutral site moving forward. And this is the first opportunity we get to see that. I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. You would think that over the first 4 games that the leading team kind of has the advantage. The home court advantage team has the advantage of the first 4 games, because you're not going for game 3 and game 4 where a team that's trailing can get a boost. But if you can get it to 2-2, now normally in most series, the home court advantage team in a 2-2 series still has a huge advantage statistically. That's no longer the case now in theory, but we'll see. With Westbrook starting, Eric Gordon moves now to the 3. Robert Covington, PJ Tucker. Obviously, Daniel House is going to get plenty of tick as well. Just getting a little bit more depth, I think, as well for this Houston team. It will be useful as they have wilted down the end of some of these games. But we'll see how Russell Westbrook looks. The other thing to watch is Russell Westbrook defensively here, as Houston has really cratered defensively these last couple of games. Let's see how he looks. He starts off on Chris Paul, but they will be switching everything. Dort. They look to hand off to Gallo and get Harden on him. They've done a better job of attacking Harden these last 2 games. Paul switched onto by Covington. Westbrook not guarding Dort. Dort into the lane, almost traveled. Adams, backdoor, goes up twice, and he's going to get fouled in the arm. And that's a critical foul there on PJ Tucker, who has been in foul trouble much of this series.
Yeah, and he is so important to Houston's scheme that they don't really have other. Jeff Green has done a little bit as kind of as the center. He's the tallest guy that they play, but PJ Tucker is what makes the Rockets defense more viable, because he can rim protect a little bit and defend some of those bigger players and protect the rim. So I think it's a huge advantage for them.
Quick note there on that. When you get a guy as a defending big stuck underneath the basket like that, I think instead of trying to block his shot, what you should do is get your chest on him and basically force him to go through you backwards to get in front of the backboard rather than trying to block his shot and committing the foul like Tucker did that time. Harden in the post. You've seen a lot of this. It doesn't work great. They'd use that to set up Gordon on the move, and Eric Gordon had a few hits in that game 4, but largely has been struggling from outside. Here's Gallinari against Gordon. Gallo has done well in this matchup, and Tucker almost had a second foul. Gallo missing the layup. Now here's Westbrook in transition. First time Paul loading to him. Harden and Gordon were late getting down there. Westbrook goes down. Covington, and they'll swing it around now instead. Harden on the drive, going right at Steven Adams. Explosive finish from James Harden of the type we have seen little in this series. Here's Dort on a hard driving move, and they blow it with the left hand. OKC missing layups, but Adams there to tip it back. That's what Dort can do, and Covington is not a good man-to-man defender.
Yeah, and PJ Tucker there didn't find a man. He just kind of stood underneath the basket. Steven Adams tipped it out from over his head.
Here's Westbrook feeling it from outside. That's not the first shot that Mike D'Antoni probably wanted from him, as he, of course, famously struggles from out there. Paul against Gordon. Not really an advantage matchup for Chris Paul, and he'll give it up. Gilgeous-Alexander as Harden switches on him. Gilgeous-Alexander has cooked him, but good contest that time from Harden. Now Westbrook switched onto by Steven Adams. Goes for the jumper and hits it. And that, of course, a key shot from Westbrook. I think we're going to find Steven Adams guarding him quite a bit. So if a few of you noted that we're a little behind, we're going to move that up at the next break here. Here's Paul into the lane. Dort forced to double pump, and not good results that time. Here's Westbrook, certainly aggressive, out to Covington, and the pass was a little low. That threw off Covington's rhythm.
But you could see all the gravity towards the basket there. There was only one Oklahoma City player off the baseline.
So Dort has been allowed to fire away. He was 3 of 9 from 3 in the last game, and you see Harden, Westbrook. That's perfect. They don't want to get out on shooters. If they're matched up onto Dort, they can just hang out and muck things up in the lane. Westbrook against Shea. Goes at him. Goes to the floater. Russell Westbrook has had the touch on those little mid-rangers, and OKC has got to start scoring here. Paul off the switch. Yes, Chris Paul. We've seen Chris Paul when they've gotten into some druts. That's when he'll try and take over, and he took advantage of the slow switch from Covington. Harden in conventional pick-and-roll defense is OKC. Harden going at Dort. Goes through Dort for the layup, and Steven Adams, you can see he's not there with any help at all. He's just stuck in the corner on PJ Tucker, never made a move to contest Harden at the rim. Shea short, Adams again, triple teamed to no avail.
And Steven Adams has been so much more assertive in the early going of this game. He even had a couple of additional offensive rebounds that just tipped out of bounds.
Here's Gordon around Gallinari, and again, you see how without Steven Adams, there's zero rim protection for this OKC team if they can get to the basket.
Yeah, OKC's tallest guys are not exactly effective at the rim.
Paul missing against Covington, although he got a good look. There's been a long time without a stoppage. Westbrook has Gallinari. He's going to try and take him here. Gallo backing off of him. Westbrook swinging it. Tucker above the break 3, and he hits that.
And a nice use there. It wasn't a pass fake, but Tucker used a little bit of hesitation to slow Steven Adams' closeout down, and then just had plenty of space there for the three-pointer. So we can answer questions for all of you from that, but you're also going to experience something that we've never done on the live show before, which is us squaring up with each other. It's one of the challenges of being doubly remote, is that we have to sync up with each other so that we can respond to things at the same time.
Do you have like a go forward 30 seconds button on your remote?
I do not.
Okay. Yeah, well, my $170 a month for DirecTV has to give me something, right?
Yeah. That's actually not too bad compared. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go forward 30 seconds and kind of see where we are here. I guess I should probably actually go forward a minute because we have to pause to sync up again. Yeah, this is gonna be fascinating radio. Thanks everyone. I hope you're ready for this. Okay, I'm gonna pause at the end of this Corona commercial. right when Small comes onto the screen on this commercial.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm already there. So whenever you want to.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Now let's answer some of your
Now,
questions.
now let's hear how we're gonna be like too far advanced. How far like behind actual like live are we now?
Uh, Probably like 20 seconds.
All right.
At
Well, hopefully
most.
this will work. It's easier for us to slow it down than speed it up, though.
Yeah, it's way. Yeah. Okay, so what do you guys think of the D'Antoni rumors to Indiana? It's interesting because I don't think that he. I mean, D'Antoni he's not one thing as an offensive coach, but I don't think that their current personnel fits his what I know about D'Antoni particularly well. But it wouldn't be that hard to change their personnel to make it interesting for him.
Yeah, like without Sabonis, I think it actually would have worked great.
Yeah, exactly. And or maybe you use Sabonis, but then you don't have you don't have Miles Turner. Like you could do stuff with him as the hub that could be kind of interesting. But yeah, I think you can have both of those guys. It's not nearly going to be as compelling.
And yeah, I mean he'll if they're looking for a new offensive philosophy. Now the problem is Mike D'Antoni is what 69 years old. He is not going to be interested in he's going to want $5 to $7 million a year. Are they going to want to pay that much? I have some skepticism there. So we're back now. 7:44 left in the first. Houston looking good so far. And we'll have to see, the transition game is going to be really key to watch here. OKC has had the better of that. They've attacked quickly in transition. And Houston, I think, gets worse defensively with Russell Westbrook out there, particularly as a transition team when you consider he can miss layups. He kind of lollygags back on defense sometimes. Here's Dort again. They wanted to run Shea off a screen on the weak side. Daniel House is in. Westbrook is out. Here's the drive from Dort. Tucker coming over to help. Paul swings a good help from Harden there. Harden had a nice rotation, knew exactly where it was going, and he contested Gallo's jumper well. One thing to note, James Harden generally has a lot more energy coming out of timeouts than he will after a few possessions up down the floor. Here's his three. Oh, yeah. James Harden. 16-7, Houston.
And something to keep an eye on. I'd have liked that Dort has been a more aggressive driver. It hasn't really borne any fruit though yet.
Paul. Oh, no. And PJ Tucker is very upset here. He thought he got knocked over by Chris Paul, and then he commits his second foul in the action immediately following that.
And the Rockets do have more depth now. They have more guys that they can turn to with Westbrook available, but this is still going to be a real challenge for them.
Tucker upset, and he will depart. So they get smaller guarding Steven Adams. I'm interested to see whether OKC responds by bringing in Dennis Schroeder and taking out Adams with this group. It'll be Jeff Green now guarding Steven Adams. They switch up the matchups, put McLemore, who has really struggled defensively in this series, on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'd go right at that matchup from OKC. Gallo goes down. He lost his shoe, gets up. Now Dort has to take another three over James Harden. And man, he is not even close with these. Watch the shoe come off there from Gallo.
Yeah, and he's not quite Mike Miller.
That is a callback right there.
And Tucker, that's also why you can't I talk about it a lot with offensive players, you can't give up cheapies. And I mean, neither of those was a particularly impactful defensive foul for PJ Tucker.
Harden off the conventional pick and roll defense, but then he just lost it off his foot out of bounds. One of the things that they had to do was really attack Luguentz Dort more in a conventional pick and roll style because Harden wasn't able to get the ISO. They weren't switching Dort off of him. As here's Shea blowing past House into the lane. Green takes what looked like a pretty obvious charge to me. How is that not called?
Yeah, and I mean, he looked like he was in Shea's path. So as the rule applies, I think that should have been a call. I don't love the current charge rule, but it felt like that was a charge.
Yeah, Shea usually pretty under control in those situations, but it'll remain OKC ball of 14 on the clock. Shea's deep in the corner against Covington. Puts him in the mix. Good defense from Covington. Harden helping off of Dort. Dort can't get another three. Oh, man, I thought Adams got his arm held by Jeff Green, But man, how many was that? 4 offensive rebounds for Steven Adams already in this game?
It's credited as 5 offensive rebounds for Steven Adams already. He has basically a 50% offensive rebound rate by himself in this game so far.
Yeah. And they're not doing a good enough job of boxing him out. And the other thing that where they had neutralized him at times in this series was just tapping the ball away from him, not even necessarily trying to grab it. As McLemore tips it right to Paul. Paul getting to that right hand, tried to feed it along the baseline to Dort on the cut. Dort giving up on spacing out for now because he is what? 0 for 4 from 3, 0 for 5 overall. More shots than anyone else on the Thunder.
That's a problem.
Paul getting it in way on the weak side to Dort. He tries to attack Harden along the baseline and throws it away again. It got tipped by Green, but man, Dort is struggling mightily right now.
Yeah, and this is a 53.8 offensive rating for the Oklahoma City Thunder so far.
Yeah, and most of the damage they've done has been on the offensive glass with Adams getting 4 points there.
Yeah, and he missed 2 free throws.
Dort going at Harden once more. Harden cuts him off, forces another difficult miss. Now let's see where they get the screen from Covington. They don't switch this. Nice cut from House, but Gilgeous-Alexander was there with the contest at the rim. Great defense. That's really good offense, though, from Houston. I like that a lot.
I don't like OKC passing off of Gallo with McLemore on him there. They ended up getting a free throw line jumper from Chris Paul, but Gallo had a huge advantage. McLemore hasn't defended anyone one-on-one this entire series.
Here's Harden on the drive. House, McLemore open, a little bit long. And now, Chris Paul, he's such a bullshit artist, Danny. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Unless, did he get out bullshit? Did Harden draw that foul? Because Harden acted like he got pushed in the rebounding action.
Yeah, but maybe let's see here. Let's watch if there's a flat. Well, we can't see it. It's too early. Yeah, actually, that one I take it back. Chris Paul actually did get run into that time by Harden in a pretty legitimate way. Let's see, Harden. Yeah, and he gets fouled by Gallinari as well. So yeah, I take it back. It's a boy who cried wolf with those two guys because they definitely.
Hey, after what happened at the end of Game 4, they could cry wolf a whole bunch of times.
Here's Dort open again. He hasn't been shy, but I mean this is going to be tough for OKC. Like he's going to have to hit a few. They need him defensively. Harden on the nice between the legs, right down the lane for the dunk as Noel was late. He was held in the corner by Jeff Green, who has been an excellent three-point shooter. Got to have a quicker rotation there for Noel. Trust your guys to X out that time. Here's Gallo on the drive. Stripped into by Covington and can't get the finish. This is House crossing over. Almost got it stolen by Dort, who now picks up Harden. Screen comes from Covington. Harden trying to go to his right. He'll draw the foul. One of the first times we've seen James Harden draw that contact foul out on the perimeter from Lou Dort. And as we show that replay, Robert Covington had been critical of him setting poor screens, but Harden did a great job of setting him up that time, and he walled up nicely with Dort, who is definitely a bowling ball trying to go right through him.
Yeah, I mean, Dort he's very strong, but the flipping the screen, I think, is a really good strategy against him because that forces him to move his feet quickly, and that's not Dort's strength. I mean,
I don't know. I think his feet are pretty good, personally.
But that short burst, that short burst quickness, I don't. It's not his biggest flaw, but I think it's something I've noticed. I've noticed this series in particular.
All right, I respectfully disagree with you on that
That's
one.
fine.
I think he's got awesome feet. Here's another free throw coming from James Harden. That one drops in too, and this couldn't possibly have been a better start for Mike D'Antoni aside from the 2 PJ Tucker fouls. Austin Rivers is in, as is Dennis Schroeder. And certainly with the way Schroeder has played, is they get an easy dunk from Noel off the pass from Gilgeous-Alexander. Who did he blow by there? Oh, actually, no, that wasn't McLemore. That was House. I apologize.
Yeah.
McLemore is already out of the game.
Yeah, I think Rivers came in for him.
Here's Harden on the drive. They swing it. A little too slow. House, who's done a good job driving and kicking in this series. Covington tries to leave it for House, and House blows the layup. Gilgeous-Alexander forced the miss, but House gets it right back, and he's hacked by Noel. And just not enough aggression for Noel and Baisley going after that offense, or that defensive rebound chance, I should say.
Well, and also Noel not using his size there bit really hard on a Daniel House pump fake when Nerlens Noel has probably like 4 inches on him and just could stand there and would have gotten the block pretty easily.
Yeah, we're seeing here Chris Paul talking to Dort, who is now 0 for 7. Houston by 12. Starting to talk about Dennis Schroeder, who was wonderful in games 3 and 4 as Gilgeous-Alexander waves him away. They swing it to Schroeder. He blows by Rivers, and the foul is called. Let's see if we can pick up who it's on. Yeah, Rivers got a little forearm on him there. But where you can criticize Billy Donovan is not bringing in Dennis Schroeder until there's already 7 minutes gone by in the first. It's just too difficult, particularly when you're struggling scoring. He's one of your best scorers. He's a great matchup against Houston because of his speed attacking switches. And to just have 7 minutes at the start of each half where we're just never going to play him, it's hard to get him out there enough.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bizarro Gary Trent in that you're an underdog. You need a lot of things to go right to win. And Dennis Schroeder can do that because he attacks decisively. He attacks quickly. And that works against the switching defense. And because Houston doesn't have that many great man-to-man defenders. I like him a lot in the series. And as you said, he was excellent in 3 and 4. He should play more.
Yeah, the quickness of Schroeder is something they're not really built to match up against with these switches. It's more as we got to travel from House. It's more about, having strong, stout guys that you can't post up and who can move their feet okay. They're much better against wings than just quick guards who just think hard attack right away, and that's what Dennis Schroeder does.
And it'll be interesting if we get the Rockets-Lakers series that we're all kind of expecting at this point, because the Lakers don't have a ton of those quick attack guys either.
Harden made a nice play again. He's done some good things defensively so far. 3 from Covington is short, though. Here's Schroeder. He's got Harden on him. This is an advantage matchup. Harden dared him to shoot the 3. He did not. He was 4-7 from 3 last game. Dort loses it. They want the double dribble, and they say no, he hit it. But, I mean, that's not good enough from Austin Rivers. Like, how are you stopping? Like, he stopped in the middle of the lane, in the middle of the play, to turn to the ref and complain about a double dribble. There's no whistle. What are you doing? Why is everyone stopping? It's terrible.
Lou Dort hasn't done anything like with the ball in his hands really in this. So if you just react to him instead and then complain after, you're totally fine.
Yeah, guess what? You can complain about it. There not being a double dribble after the play is over. Don't stop competing. It's probably the worst example of that I've ever seen.
And Westbrook wasn't on the floor, so it's not like Houston was going to get anything in transition there probably. But let's talk about bookies.com. So one of the things that we like most about it is information, and that can include their expert picks. Now, both Adam Thompson and Mark Stroutman have been on fire in the playoffs, and Stroutman has Rockets by 5. He picks the Rockets over the Thunder. They have a 5-point margin this one. I mean, that's looking like an absolutely excellent pick, and it's not just because Russell Westbrook's back. It's kind of where the equilibrium was in this series, and also Harden getting more rest. So whether you have your own takes or you want to rely on what their experts say, bookies.com/NBA is a great place to get that information.
Yeah, what's more, you can click through to great legal betting deals in your state right from their site, and they live update it as well, so you're always getting the most recent odds. Let's hit some questions here.
Does Steven Adams have a way to credibly attack offensively other than the glass? I mean, he can try to do get some seals and get some fouls that way, especially theoretically in transition, but he's not really that type of offensive player. You're not going to feed him in the post or anything like that. And that's totally fine. The Thunder have other options offensively, theoretically, but no, I don't think he can do a whole lot more.
Yeah, he's got a little quick spin move out of the post, like we saw that against Tucker earlier on the first play of the game. And he's also able to hit maybe a short floater in the lane, but he's not a great pick and roll center anymore, and Houston takes you out of pick and roll with their switching, and he's not really quick enough to like slip the screen and get on top of the rim. So yeah, he is a little bit limited offensively, to be sure.
Quick update: OKC's offensive rating is now all the way up to a 60 even so far in this game. From Glenn Simonson, if Indy is not a good fit for Mike D'Antoni, what team would be? I am maybe one of the only people on the hill. Not only my thing with D'Antoni to the Pelicans is not necessarily that I think it should happen. It's more that I think it will. But I also think that importantly, there are kind of two different threads, and I think about this kind of from the Warriors' perspective as well, from Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr, of you need their best guys to buy in defensively, but you also need to figure out an offensive system that works with the players they have. And I actually think, considering how unusual the pieces are for the Pelicans, figuring out the offense is actually more important and good to do first. Like, can Zion play center? Does he play the 4 with the 4 spacing 5? And D'Antoni, I think maybe he's not your coach forever. Pay him for 2 to 3 years, but pay him a lot of money. And then you have that part figured out, and then you bring in somebody else, keep the offensive system, keep some of the assistant coaches, and then try to instill a defensive philosophy.
I like him in Indiana as a basketball fit. What about Brooklyn? I doesn't seem like he's been rumored there, but I mean, I think he could do some wonderful things with them offensively.
Yeah, I mean, and we think that there are going to need to be some personnel changes there. It could fit D'Antoni even better.
So here are those minutes that they wish they had. Here's Westbrook going right at Schroeder, swings it. I thought he had the layup. Gordon, he'll take a very deep 3. I thought he had time, but he'll go right into the lane again. Off the glass, misses that. 2 tips for Eric Gordon, and OKC doing a nice job protecting the rim on that possession. Here's Schroeder wide open for mid-range, misses it. Noel on the glass. Yeah, Houston's got to do a better job defensive rebounding so far. They're getting away with a few here. Westbrook attacking Schroeder, tries to pass it out. Gordon is wide open. Eludes Noel. Now it's House in the corner instead. And Daniel House, very reliable as a spot-up three-point shooter. Houston doubling up OKC at the moment.
And that was an opportunistic screen by Russell Westbrook. Saw that the closeout was coming right in front of him, so he's just like, I'm going to stand here.
So I don't get why they're playing Dort right now, Danny. Because Harden's out of the game.
Not on the floor.
Why are you going to waste potential fouls? And you can't score right now, right? Like, I would say with Harden out, get Chris Paul back in the game, go with the 3-guard lineup. Here's Westbrook trying to post up on Schroeder, has the side advantage. Schroeder using the forearm, gun pass from Westbrook, sets up Rivers, but he can't get that.
And I can imagine Russell Westbrook used to do that in practice a fair amount last season.
Here's Noel back out Schroeder. They try to get Baisley. Oh, I thought he stepped on the baseline. I don't think he ever reestablished. Baisley picks up his dribble. 6 on the clock. They're going to have to create something here. Better get out on him. Here's the step back. No, they're going to call an offensive foul on Shea, pushing off on Gordon with that right hand. And here does come Chris Paul, and I would imagine he's going to replace Dort.
I'm going to enjoy how crazy we're going to go if Dort's still on the floor here.
No, we did get Dort, and they've got the 3 guards together. This has been a smart move. That is a very good offensive lineup, and it's tough to get to that when you also need to have Dort on the floor as well. But when Harden is off the floor, Dort's usefulness is much reduced. Swing it to Rivers. He'll attack Paul in the crossover. Goes at him. Noel came over to bother him.
Another group of former teammates.
Here's Schroeder pulling up in transition. Schroeder has not had the touch so far on the jump shot. Westbrook doesn't look quite as aggressive as normal. Now he's got Gilgeous-Alexander. Pulls up off the glass. That's a little bit further than you'd like to see Westbrook taking that shot. Now Paul gets room. Here's the drive by Schroeder. Green comes over. Oh, he forced the pass. Good defense. Still plenty of time. Paul, and he just falls down and gets a ridiculous call. Like, I mean, that's... First of all, it's not a foul. He's just standing there. Chris Paul just tried to run into him. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I can't stand watching this.
Fortunately, I don't think that's free throws for Oklahoma City. No, of course it is. It's Chris Paul.
Yeah, he's such a great player. He doesn't need to do that. I mean, but I don't blame him, right? He's trying to win the game. I blame the referees for falling for it. There needs to be a little bit better of a scouting report on him than that at this point. And it's plays like that make me recoil even when there is legitimate contact. He just doesn't get the benefit of the doubt for me anymore. 1 second differential. Thunder shooting a putrid 20%. I think their defense has actually been fine overall. They haven't given up anything in transition yet. Houston might need to actually get a clean defensive rebound for that. Here's Westbrook blowing by Paul, setting up Jeff Green, missing the open three. Not much time here. Noel will just have to throw it from three-quarter court.
And that was a great example, even though it didn't work out for Houston, of why I like teams going a little earlier at the end of the first 3 quarters. They could have gotten an offensive rebound there, and Nerlens Noel grabbed the ball with 3.3 seconds left. He wasn't going to do anything in 3.3 seconds, and that's what we saw.
Yeah, go ahead. Might as well just throw everyone to the offensive glass in that situation.
Yeah, there would be some risk of a counter of just have somebody run to half court and throw a bullet pass, but that would require a lot of coordination, and that would theoretically reduce the risk of a chance of a defensive rebound. Let's see. How do you think Donovan has done in this series, and what was the biggest adjustment you've seen him make in games 3 and 4? Just not losing the non-Harden minutes. Yeah, I think that playing Schroeder more, he had a really big role. Part of that was overtime and everything else in games 3 and 4, realizing that he could attack and had an advantage, and that's something that I think that Donovan should push more heavily. We talked about that a fair amount in the first quarter. That was a meaningful adjustment. Going smaller more often, some of that was necessity, some of that was, like Steven Adams having that little injury. I think that was in game 3 where he had to come out a little bit. But I think Donovan hasn't leaned hard enough. I think he's thinking of this team as not being underdogs when they absolutely are.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it took him. He's done better to me than Nate McMillan did. But I thought, really strategically, they just weren't ready to go in game 1, and they got blown out. That's really the game that hurt them to me. Let's check up on some of the stats here. OKC is 1 of 12 from three-point range, 0 for 6 for Dort. Houston, not much better, 3 of 11 themselves. A pretty low free throw attempt game here from two teams that draw a lot of fouls. 6 offensive rebounds, kind of keeping OKC in it. And the turnover game equal at 3, so nothing crazy going on there. Anything else that sticks out to you from some of the stats?
Both teams took an identical 4 shots in 2-point range, not in the restricted area. OKC made 0 of their 4. Houston made 3 of their 4, including a couple of those Russell Westbrook jumpers. Rockets 3 of 8 in the restricted area. OKC 4 of 10. A lot of offensive rebounds for both teams. OKC's more on those kind of misses, and Houston's, at least 2 of them, I think, were on 3-pointers.
Let's see here, another question. Most disappointing playoff team so far to you, Danny?
Let me look.
Well, yeah, we're back actually, so we can.
I'll think about it.
So we'll start the quarter. And it looks like Terrence Ferguson is going to get a little bit of run now. Gilgeous Alexander is out. It'll be Paul and Schroeder in the backcourt. PJ Tucker is back with the 2 fouls. They screen away for Gordon. Instead, Westbrook tries to attack a wild layup attempt. He thought he could attack instead of running the play, which was for Gordon, and he got nothing. Tucker trying to draw the foul. Good no call there, as I thought Baisley was under control, and Adams lays it in.
Yeah, not everything where a guy falls down has to be a foul. I think a no call was better there than either an offensive or defensive foul.
Same play. You see Schroeder helping off of Westbrook when they give that up. Here's Jeff Green. His three-pointer is way short. He looked like his right elbow really flew out on that one.
And Green has been a significant positive for the Rockets in this series. I'm not a believer that that's permanent, but you appreciate it while you have it.
McLemore is back. They attack. Now Schroeder wants to back it out and go at Tucker. He wants to get it back. Tucker denies him. Nice back door. That'll set up Bazley for the three in the corner, but they can't take advantage. That was great offense by OKC. Westbrook going into three guys. Sets up Tucker in the corner as Bazley helped off of him. Houston missing their fair share of threes as well. They're now 3 of 13. Paul attacking McLemore. Crosses up, getting to his right. Good help from Tucker. Bazley is open for the three. And finally, Darius Bazley hitting a three-pointer for OKC. And they're right back within 5 as poorly as they've played offensively. Gordon guarded well by Ferguson, who has extremely quick feet. Now Gordon trying Schroeder. Jeff Green makes no contact on the screen. Westbrook has to take a three from way out. His shot selection has been atrocious. Now here's Schroeder into the lane. Bothered from behind by Jeff Green. That was kind of a no-hoper from Schroeder. And Adams steps on the end line.
And significantly, the Rockets have actually lost the non-Harden minutes by they're outscored by 4 in those minutes so far, when that had been, that hadn't been as big of a problem in games 1 and 2, let's say, than it was that we expected.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook is shooting right now like he knows he's on a minutes limit. He gets into the lane. He'll set up Tucker. They'll swing it as the pass is a little low. Gordon, House over Bazley. Yes, Daniel House. Maybe their most reliable spot-up shooter at this point in time. He has 2 of their three-pointers. They set the screen trying to get Green switch on. They don't switch that, though. They avoided the low resistance switch. House on Schroeder. Schroeder just holding the ball here. Tries to get into the lane. Lefty finish is good. And I don't like that defense from House. He's giving him his right hand. I don't know why Schroeder wants to drive hard right. I don't know why they're giving him that. Back to goal from Westbrook. Tried to draw a quick foul. Gordon has not been shy with these threes. And I really... Like Houston, if they just get a little bit of penetration, as then Westbrook goes for a terrible steal and an obvious foul on him, Gordon and Westbrook, to me, have not been taking good shots. They've been able to get open ones just with driving and kicking.
And that was with 15 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yeah.
Is the bet really they can't generate anything better than that?
Paul switched onto by Tucker. Now they swing it. Schroeder gets the jab step, gets the bucket on House. So 2 straight buckets from Schroeder in isolation, and they're back within 3, only 3 points. Here's House on the nice cut, but Adams forces the pass. Gordon on the hard attack right down the lane, and he scoops it in.
Yeah, and see, that's what you can do when they had a little bit more of an advantage there, but you can get something around the basket or generate help.
Paul tried to get it to Adams, who was not expecting it. Jeff Green looks to push to his right hand. Bazley not called for the foul. Houston can't believe it, and they'll back it out. Westbrook, left-handed pass, gets deflected by Ferguson. Here's the drive from Tucker. He got tripped, no call, and he gets the layup. Houston is, they do have a few legitimate beefs here, despite the fact that they're letting the refs get in their head a little bit too much. Green switching on to Schroeder. Now Bazley with the jab step. A little short, and that's just not a good enough box out from Houston right there. Like, you got to make contact with Steven Adams and not let him get a running start. Then Paul's 3, that misses, and nobody there for the offensive board that time. Westbrook pulling up again. Not even close. Goes for the rebound, and they're going to say this is OKC ball. No, Houston ball. Sorry, OKC is not pleased with that either.
Yeah, it looked to me like it went off of Westbrook, but we didn't have a particularly great angle there. And I talked about how there was a big challenge in the non-Harden minutes, and now it's back up to about even. I think it's +2 for OKC while Harden's been sitting, but he's only played 9 minutes, and now we're already 4 into the second quarter.
One thing I've noticed too, I think Houston has kind of gotten out of the rhythm of running with Russell Westbrook, and
Yes.
that's part of why everyone's loaded to him, but like guys are still trailing behind the play, so he can't take advantage of that defensive attention. Unfortunately, that's not an excuse for taking some of the shots that he's taken.
Do you want to tell everybody about bookies.com? I think it's a good time for that.
Yeah, it is. You
Um,
can follow them on Twitter at Bookies to start with, but Danny
yeah,
will tell you more.
yeah. If you're over 21, go to bookies.com/NBA and one of the things I love about is that their site live updates, so you can see live odds. Also, they have expert picks, and whether you're looking at spreads, money lines, totals, or parlays, they have that all there in a really great interface. So you can get that, and then expert picks are very easy to read as well. I talked about Mark Stratman picking the Rockets by 5-point favorites in this one, and he also has a couple picks for later on in the day, Lakers over Blazers, which has a massive spread, and then a couple things, and then that's Adam Thompson has that, and then tomorrow's game. So you can check all of that out, bookies.com/NBA, and you can learn and earn. Now we'll get to some of your questions. Let's see. How does Westbrook look so far? So physically, I think he's a little bit off, but not horrendously off. You see, doesn't have quite the same burst, but it's more that he's playing with his shot selection has been terrible. His defensive effort has been okay, and then he's also had a couple of those wild.
He's not doing anything on the glass though, actually.
Yes, that's true, and he's also had a couple of those wild drives that don't get close enough, and that there aren't any other outlets, and so it just goes nowhere. So that's been a challenge. From Corey, are you going to do post-mortem on the Blazers on the next podcast? No, I think that we're not going to do post-mortems on everybody when they're eliminated. Now, if there's a specific impetus for doing so, like a team firing their coach, yes, we probably will. But remember, we're gonna have time. We don't know how long or how much, but we're gonna have time to do off-season previews for everybody. So I think that we'll do post-mortems when we have the window for it and we have something to say. But for some, that's not going to be for every team, because also there are going to be, lots of games going on. And if that series, let's say it ends today, then there are going to be there's a lot of other action that we need to talk about. We had to preview 2 other series for the Eastern Conference because those are both happening starting soon.
Yeah, we do, of course, have off-season previews that we'll eventually do for all the teams. We're a little hamstrung right now in that if there is like a big gap between the end of the finals and the beginning of free agency and the draft, we'll have to probably fill that time by talking a little bit more about teams off seasons. DC42 on Twitch, how do you guys feel about the fouls we see when a defender fights over a screen and a shooter just rises with a little contact? Should the league look at this? That's one of the hardest plays to referee, I think, and there are some guys who are really good at that, and just the overall screening, actually. I think the biggest thing to look at in those plays actually would be what is the screener doing. So baseline out of bounds, Harden is back. I like the post up with him against Ferguson much more than I do against Dort. Here's Harden into the lane. Ferguson played it well. Here's another 3 from House, but that misses. Schroeder switched onto by Tucker. Gets him in the air, and now the pass to Adams. Backdoor, Ferguson. Gives it up quickly, as you've noticed he is wont to do. Adams at the foul line. They're late in the clock here now, though. He's going to have to create something against Jeff Green. Goes at him with the lefty hook shot. Rolling hook by Steven Adams. Who was that commenter who said he can't do anything offensively?
Shades of Steven Adams at Pitt. I remember him doing something like that every once in a while.
Here's Gordon. Has the size advantage on Schroeder. He'll attack him. Nice help from Baisley, but Gordon nicely under control, able to slough off Schroeder and hit the layup.
And he was going to pass that off to Harden, but Gordon had a good advantage that he pressed there after the deflection.
Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. Man, he's just so smooth to create that space against a stronger man in PJ Tucker. Starting to pick up a little bit here offensively for both teams. They are really torturing us with these camera angles right now. Gordon on the drive, and Gilgeous-Alexander got a deflection. Gallinari has done little. He returns, as does Dort. So we'll, of course, have to watch the continuing saga of Houston not guarding Luguentz Dort. So much will be on Harden here now with Gordon out of the game. They get it into Harden. This is not as much of an advantage for him against Dort in the corner. Tries to drive to his right, swings it around, and Covington just lost it.
Yeah, I think Covington was looking at the pass and didn't have the ball all the way and just I don't know. It was a little high, but he could have caught it.
I do like that Harden. I think he probably looked at a little bit of film of how he was being played and sees that they're giving him that hard right-handed drive. Here's Schroeder. Oh, the hands of Covington knocking it off the leg of Schroeder. Is this going to stay here?
That should be Houston ball. It hit
It might have hit
Schroeder's
Green
right
as
hip.
he was in the air right at the end.
Possibly it hit. I thought it hit Schroeder's right thigh after he
Oh
lost.
no, they're giving him the foul.
Oh,
That's what it
interesting.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, they got Covington after he got blown by. So Dennis Schroeder starting to cause problems again for Houston with his speed.
And we'll see with this. This is a lineup that's going to lean heavily on Harden as a creator, but he does have some places to attack. This is not exactly a loaded man-to-man defender group for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, we'll see if they go to more of a conventional pick and roll offense here now. That's what they tried to shift to in game 4. Yeah, that's what they do here. Green, good rotation from Steven Adams. Green tries to attack with the right hand. That's a really good defensive possession as they cover up everyone off that conventional pick and roll defense. And now Schroeder, he's going to get it again. And that's twice he's attacked Covington. Just a hard drive. That time he threw it a little in and out. And Robert Covington picks up 2 quick ones here.
And those are Covington's only 2 fouls, but he is at risk of picking up a third because he doesn't always stay judicious. He's an active help defender.
Yeah, and with this group, they don't really have a great matchup. Maybe you consider going back to Austin Rivers to guard Schroeder here if you're Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable. And the Thunder can matchup hunt a little bit here too. I think that's something they can pursue.
Schroeder, another free throw, and he's tied it at 33. Houston really struggling to score in this game. Their three-point shooting, 4 of 18.
Well, and Houston only has 9 points in over 6 minutes, or about 6 minutes in this second quarter.
Gordon is back. He'll drive on Adams. Good job by Adams switching out. And Gordon says, get out of here. I want to take him one-on-one. And they get Schroeder over into the strong side. Gordon tried to draw the foul. Now House, Harden, trying to create space. Oh, Dort just cuts him off beautifully. He has to take the double pump 3. Not close, but Gallo with the terrible box out. That leaves Harden open. What a killer mistake from Danilo Gallinari. He let Tucker swing right in for that offensive rebound. Now it's House guarding Schroeder as Adams sets the screen. Tucker has 2 on that side. Schroeder, wow, that is a slow pump fake. Now he'll take the 3 and hit.
Yeah, I mean, they had basically a 2-on-1 on that side, and he doesn't attack in time, but still works.
What a hustle from Dort, and they get the turnover. Fantastic defense from the combination of Schroeder and Dort. Now Dort loads up right side, more in rhythm, but no closer. Another rebound, though, for Steven Adams. Schroeder, he'll take another 3, make another 3. Dennis Schroeder giving OKC their first lead, and it'll be a timeout for the Rockets.
Dennis Schroeder's first half, 17 points, 5 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 4 of 5 from the line, plus 12 in 12 minutes.
Yeah, it really all changed when he came in the game. And very interested to see what happens at the start of the second half if they don't bring him in more quickly. Because now you also have the problem where he's basically going to have to play 15 straight minutes, which is tough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this has been an absolute rock fight with the three-point shooting, but OKC starting to catch up. Schroeder, 3 of 4 from 3, as you mentioned, and that's been a huge difference. And these are tough looks for him, too, with a guy right on him.
So we got the question of who has been the most disappointing team so far, and I would say we start that because it was asked of the playoffs. We do that at the start of the playoffs. So, like, Ben Simmons' injury is already baked in. That had already occurred. I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets. There are some structural reasons why this series has been a problem, but it's not like the Jazz are some sort of offensive world beater. They've looked like it in most of the series other than the second half of Game 4, I believe that was. Or was that 5? That was 5.
Game 5, yeah. No, I think I probably would go there too. I mean, Philly getting swept and
Yeah,
Indiana getting swept, but like those teams lost in ways that would have been anticipated beforehand.
and remember these are 4 neutral site games, so like I don't think sweeps are as catastrophic as they would have been otherwise because you didn't lose a home game. And yeah, if Houston loses this series, it's them. That's for sure. Full credit to OKC if they end up pulling this off, but no, it would still be Houston in that circumstance. From Colin Weaver, should Dort keep shooting? He has to, because if he doesn't, then it totally screws up OKC's offense. He can drive more. They can use him as a screener. There are other ways to take advantage of this, but he like when those shots are there, he kind of has to take them.
Yeah, I think you're right. Is Baisley at the 5 a lineup you'd recommend? Yeah, I think they could get something with that. Maybe with rather than going with Noel. If you don't want to go with Gallo at center, you could go with Baisley at the 5, Dort at the 4, and then you have the 3 guards in there. Yeah, I think it's something they might look at because Baisley's shot has been looking much better in the bubble.
From Peacemaker on Twitch, oh sorry, that's on Periscope. Given what you've seen so far, who is more likely to get upset in the first or second round? He said LAC or LAC, but I think he's going to say it meant the Lakers or the Clippers. I'm going to go with I don't think either of them is losing in the first round, especially with the Porzingis news. I think that the Lakers are more likely to get knocked out in the second. That's more based on how I see those teams overall than how they've looked so far.
Well,
But
their
I mean,
opponents too.
yes, that's what I meant. Is that I don't think the Jazz are particularly well suited to beating the Clippers if that's what we get.
Yeah, what's changed for Schroeder this season? I mean, he's making shots, so that's number one. His defensive effort has been much, much better. He was really a negative
Well,
defensive player for most of his career.
it's also that he is getting to play his ideal role offensively, which is that he doesn't have to spend all of his time creating for others. He can do more off ball, and he can attack. And playing with Chris Paul gives him the opportunity to be his best self. And also defensively, he doesn't have to guard the other team's best player basically ever.
All right, we're back here. Westbrook is still not back in, so it looks like they're sticking pretty hard to that minutes limit. OKC, very impressive the amount of deflections they've been getting of late. And so taking a look at this group now, yeah, they got Danilo Gallinari at center and Dort at the 4. So I think I would like to get Westbrook back in. Oh, they get the baseline out of bounds. House, it's the third layup that he's missed in this game. Schroeder looking to attack Tucker. Leaves it for Dort, who again, if Dort spaces out there, he's open, but he doesn't want that. Gallo, Euro steps around, House with the deflection. Great defense from Daniel House, and Gallo continues to struggle. Harden has Dort in space, gets by him to the right, tried to leave it for Tucker, mishandled, and then he throws it away.
It seems like House has slipped a number of times so far in this. I don't know if he's having trouble if there's something going on.
Yeah, so Harden, he is doing a good job now of attacking to the right, knowing that that's what Dort is giving him and drawing help, but Houston hasn't really been able to get much out of that penetration that he's been getting.
And that's 6 turnovers to the Rockets, and I think only 3 of them, though, have been live ball.
Oh, there it is. That's what we were talking about on the pod right there, Danny. Using Dort as the screener, and then having him slip it quickly, get behind the defense, and he can finish very well at the rim. This has been quite the turnaround as Houston once led this 24-12. Harden directing traffic. He wants to go at Schroeder off these screens. They don't switch it, so Harden will just take the open 3 and he hits it. That's what they got to do. If they're going to go under that screen, 2 big screens from Gordon and Tucker, he's got to make them pay on that jump shot. Schroeder from way out. A little bit long that time. I question that a little bit because he's been able to get better shots than that. Harden stopped by Dort, and they're going to say it's still Houston ball, though.
Yeah, but Houston still has 16 seconds to work through, so they have plenty of time. They were going to take those seconds anyway.
Yeah, if I'm Billy Donovan, I'm going to keep dialing up those plays with Dort as the screener slipping to the basket.
And Westbrook's now back on the floor.
Yeah, so let's see if Westbrook can get to the rim now against this team with no rim protector. Westbrook screening for Harden. Harden on the drive. Dort stops him, and he's going to get called for a foul, which I think is rather questionable. Let's see if he comes in with the arm here. Maybe he came down with the left hand in some fashion. We'll get a better look here. Ooh, looked pretty clean to me, man.
Yeah, I think he got ball there.
And especially because he pulled the chair on him. Harden is out of control. I really don't like the refs bailing him out with that play.
Harden's overall line, 18 points, 6 of 7 from 3, 3 of 4 from 3, and 2 of 3, I believe, from the free throw line.
I mean, maybe it's just because we expect it from James Harden. Like, it doesn't even necessarily feel like he's playing that well right now. As Tucker, he beat Gallo. Again, Gallo's had a couple of problems here boxing out on Tucker. Dort goes to get Harden. Harden says, hey, get out of there, Covington, so I can go attack Gilgeous-Alexander. Said, nice Euro and finish. That's 3 nice finishes at the rim from Harden, and Harden has absolutely roasted Shea when he's been on him in this series. Shea going to try and do the same to Robert Covington. Pulls back for the 3, and that's all. Harden is coming in the near side corner off of Dort, and that's why Shea had no room to maneuver. Gordon on the drive. Nice pass fake and 1. No, they don't give him the call on that?
He got drilled.
Yeah, no, that's clearly a foul on Gallo. He doesn't, that's a point of education. When you jump like that, if you turn your hip into the guy, it should be a foul. That was, man, I have not been enamored of the refereeing in this first half.
Yeah, and these can go in the memo because Houston has been, I think they have been hurt by this officiating.
Yeah, I mean, OKC's had a few beefs themselves, to be sure.
Oh, of course.
But I liked Gordon there, though, eschewing the 3. He's such a devastating driver, and they don't have anyone at the rim who can stop him. If he can get penetration, they're either going to have to overhelp and give up a wide-open 3, or he can go right to the rim and finish. And I think Houston is starting to realize that right now.
Question from DC42 on Twitch. Excited for Heat Bucks. Would you be surprised if Miami pulled the upset? So Nate and I already recorded our series preview on it. Dunked on Prime subscribers have access to it right now. But what I said is I would be surprised but not stunned. Milwaukee has a significant talent advantage, but there are, as DC got into in later parts, there are some tactical things that Miami can turn to, the three-point shooting and everything else. So it is possible. I'm not going to close the door. I think that this could be a longer series, maybe than some would expect. But yeah, but Milwaukee still has the advantage.
I forgot to make my pick when you and I talked. I edited it in later to the pod. I actually went with Milwaukee in 5.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is not what I picked.
So we're back here now. I will be doing this show by myself tomorrow, as Danny has his one vacation day during the playoffs. But I'm going to do it probably for the end of Toronto and Boston, and then maybe for the next game as well, the Game 6 of Clippers-Dallas. Schroeder starting to cool off a little bit now, though he was wide open. Here's Harden driving, and it goes off his foot and will head the other way. Yeah, Gilgeous-Alexander, he tried to dribble between 3 guys. So it is, Steven Adams is back in now. This is interesting. Maybe they felt like, hey, if James Harden is going to have 20 points in the first half on 10 shooting possessions, maybe we don't need Lou Dort and we'll just put in our best offensive group. This is the lineup that so ruled the league in the clutch this season. The 3 guards, Gallo and Adams. Dort also on 2 fouls. They may want to preserve that as well. Westbrook crosses over in space against Gallo. Nice move. Blew the layup, though, and it goes out to OKC. I like the concept there, though, of Russell Westbrook attacking downhill against Gallinari, and you can see that Steven Adams is in the corner on PJ Tucker. Shea trying to time out Harden. Gets the offhand. That's the second time that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is shoved off with that off arm for a foul. He got the elbow right into the ribs of Harden, and While it is rich indeed that James Harden should be the beneficiary of that call, since he's one of the foremost practitioners of it. Here's Covington on the drive. He'll go at Gilgeous-Alexander, and wow, man, there's no rim protection when Robert Covington is driving in for a layup.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a wild drive, but he stabilized enough to get the basket. And then that was a much better drive from Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, just a quick blow by, the step up screen, and then you've got Schroeder going at Tucker in space. Gordon against Gallo, crosses over on him. That arrhythmic pounding dribble from Gordon, but Gallo did well to guard him. Here's Harden. Oh, he had Tucker open. He missed him. He had that left-handed behind-the-back pass to him. Now he's going to have to get the step back. Pump fake. Misses, and Westbrook can't get the rebound. Schroeder again sizing up Tucker with the 2 fouls. They got to get the help ready here to come over. Covington should probably be called for a defensive 3 seconds, actually. He's not guarding anybody right now. Oh, they're going to give another one of these fouls on Tucker. They're going to say he poked him in the head.
Here we go. That was not a clear camera angle.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he got it. I don't know what Tucker's complaining about.
I mean, he definitely did get ball. Looked like he got face.
Yeah, I mean, if Schroeder was acting there, he certainly did a good job.
Yeah. I don't know what the German equivalent of the Oscars is, but I think that was legit contact.
Jeff Green is in now at center. Paul switching Covington onto him, just pulls up over him, and Chris Paul hits it. Robert Covington again, just not able to get a good enough contest. Here's a 2-for-1 situation for Houston. Let's see if Harden tries to grab it here. Dort is back in. Gordon with the screen. Oh, nice play. Nice play there, cutting to the rim. Gordon behind the defense. The help just a little late.
Might have been too fast. Chris Paul might go for the 2-for-1 here and back.
Yeah, Schroeder, a good candidate for that as well. You knew he was going to take it over Harden, and they're lucky he missed that. Harden should have been up a little higher on him, knowing he was going to try that 2-for-1. Now a 5-second differential. I think they're going to try and involve Gallo in the screening action again here with Eric Gordon. Yep, that's what they're doing. Gordon setting a nice screen. Harden will just take that pull-up. Misses it. Tipped out. They got time here. Schroeder is pushing it. They better get back. Gallo open for 3. Late close from Covington. Oh, it misses, and Adams couldn't get the tip. So Houston dodging a couple of bullets that could have tied the game, and low scoring first half, 48-45.
Also, what happens when both teams are shooting in the 20s from 3, and each team gets over 20 free three-point attempts in the first half.
All right, well, we will be back momentarily here after halftime. Take about 10 minutes or so, and then come back with your questions. We'll talk to you all then. All right, welcome back to the NBA Cast, sponsored by Bookies.com. And let's hit a couple of the questions that accumulated before we start talking about the second half. On Twitch, Alex Rees Bates. What chance would you give OKC against the Lakers?
A very low one. I think that they don't have great personnel to slow down what the Lakers do well. And yes, OKC's guards could get going, but I don't think it would be they would get as much, traction against this great Lakers defensive group.
Well, they don't have anyone to guard Anthony Davis. They don't have anyone to guard LeBron James. I mean, maybe that's Dort. Maybe they start that way, but particularly then with the limitations of Dort, if you could just, I mean, if I were the Lakers, I'd probably just put AD on Dort and just have him just hang out in the lane and mess everything up. I think they could cause major problems that way.
Oh, we could do this one from X Jeff Fooms. Do you think the Rockets would have the same fouling issues against the Lakers that they've had so far in this series? Yes, overall. I mean, the Rockets are a fundamentally, they can be a handsy team at times, especially PJ Tucker, and Covington can sometimes, you want a zealous help defender, but sometimes he could be a little bit overzealous, and the Lakers will inspire greater reactions. They have superior talent, and they have way better drivers. So I could see Houston having massive foul trouble in that series.
Well, before we take another question, let's talk about Bookies.com here. And what you really like about Bookies.com is the live updating. We can talk a little bit in a second here as Danny pulls it up of what the odds are for the second half line. But you don't have to refresh. You just leave it on that page. And if something pops up that you want to see, that you want to bet on, you can then click through to legal sports betting in your area. And Bookies.com always has the best deals on that. Danny's still looking up the line, so I will continue to tell you about Bookies.com. Yeah. You've got Adam Thompson, you got Mark Stratman's picks, or even we're not huge into betting, but sometimes maybe we'll say something that you want to try and make a buck off of. Something like perhaps the fact that Utah was a massive underdog in their series after Game 1 against Denver, and we thought that Utah outplayed them in Game 1. Maybe you could have tried to do that. Denver could still win the series, but I think Utah is looking pretty decent on that one so far.
Yeah, I'm going to a separate page to load it, and it's being a little bit slow. But we will have it soon, hopefully.
All right. What do you guys?
Or I'll bring it up when I see it.
Yeah. What is it that you guys enjoy the most about watching basketball?
For me, it's the idea that as much as you can ever know, there will always be things that surprise you. And I've used Victor Oladipo as an example here that his development really did come out of nowhere. The way Pascal Siakam has evolved as a player, and that there is no unbeatable strategy. It's star driven, and I love basketball being that way in a way that baseball in particular is not. But that doesn't mean the team with the best player always wins.
I think actually that basketball is probably the most intellectually interesting thing that I analyze. It really is. I like that you find out whether you're right or wrong a lot of times, and you have to get better all the time, because if you're not, it's obvious when you get things wrong. And so I think there's, in other fields, there's always people who can try to distort things in a lot of ways. And that's true a little bit in basketball, but hey, if you say that a team is going to win the championship and they don't win the championship, you got to own that. I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. The line that I can see right now, which is interesting, the live odds is for the money line. The Rockets they're negative 208, and then the Thunder are plus 185, and that feels about right to me. I mean, what's an interesting question? I think we could transition that into previewing the second half. My biggest question is, when does Billy Donovan go to Dennis Schroeder? I think that Schroeder has the biggest offensive advantage for OKC. Their biggest weakness so far in this game has been offensive. I thought their defense has done exceedingly well, even in Schroeder's minutes. So when does Billy Donovan turn that direction?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. the continuing saga of Dort and his shooting. And then Houston, 9 of 19 at the rim. Can they start doing a little bit more at the rim? And then, neither team has shot it particularly well from three. Like Harden and Schroeder are really the only guys. And so, which team starts hitting more of these open threes? I do think Houston is largely getting better shots than OKC, and that may prove it to be essential in the end. Houston's shot selection as well, particularly Russell Westbrook. How does he get worked back into things here? And can he get more going to the rim instead of settling for the jumper?
That's an interesting question from Henry Chignell. What do you see Shea's ceiling as, and is he untouchable in terms of trades? Second part first. I don't think he should be untouchable. I think it's fundamentally hard to trade somebody who has the potential that Shea has. But my concern is that he looks to me to be somebody who I'm not sure that he can be the best offensive player in a dominant offense. I think he fits really well as a second best player in that respect, but it will be hard for Oklahoma City to theoretically get that number one. So as a guard that might not be there, and he certainly could develop. I mean, Shea's young, he's been very productive. So to me, players that profile that way should never be untouchable. I've been wrong on guys before; they've gotten there, but I'm not sure with Shea. So yeah,
he certainly has improved at a meteoric rate since he entered the league. But yeah, I don't see like the high level of passing vision and the ability to draw the defense that the absolute best offensive engines have. But I think he can absolutely be like a low end all-star at some point.
Sure, absolutely. But low end all-star, if he's at that level and let's say he has high end, like second or third team All NBA potential, but probably not MVP potential. To me, no player of that quality should be considered untouchable.
All right, here we go. Second half. Usual starters out there for OKC. Same for the Rockets. Here's Westbrook in the lane. 3 from Covington. Could they finally make one? And they can, as Gallo had helped out into the lane. And Robert Covington, who got hot in the third quarter of game 4, starting off the way they'd like to see. So they screened for Gallo. Now he screens for Paul, who's been quiet. Switched on to by Covington. Dort not being guarded by Harden. Now he'll attack into the lane. No help, and then he throws it away.
Terrible possession for Dort.
Here's Westbrook attacking, setting up Tucker. He's going to drive, throw it back out to Covington, and they'll reset with Harden. Yeah, get out of his way. He can just attack Gilgeous-Alexander. Harden directing traffic. They want to set a flare screen for Tucker on the weak side. Here's the drive by Harden. Goes right through Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And that's not good enough help from Dort. He needs to leave Russell Westbrook completely and force him to make that corner 3. Dort, wide open off the skip pass. Way off again. Harden was hanging out in the lane. How long do they wait to go to Schroeder? Westbrook with the crossover, and Gilgeous-Alexander got a hand at it. Now Westbrook again, and he's fouled. And finally, he's going to go to the foul line. He has been upset with the officiating throughout.
And this is a 6-0 start to the second half for the Houston Rockets. Again, Dennis Schroeder off the floor, where he played 17 minutes and didn't start the game. This is really hard to defend for Billy Donovan, because if they lose this game, they go down 3-2. And yes, it's easier to win 3-2 in a neutral site than it is, but they've been so much better in the Schroeder minutes.
Yeah, I never thought we'd be saying that. It's now a 6-0 start with that Westbrook free throw.
Yeah, I did the math wrong.
And he'll get another. Westbrook oddly has a decline in his free throw shooting in his last days in OKC. He's gotten better this year, though, but still not quite at the level that he was. It was posited that the new rule where you can't just reset before every free throw messed up his routine. Dort helped off by Westbrook, and he turns it over again. It's getting ugly. Harden, start and stop. He missed Tucker again for the pick and pop. Now they'll set another screen. It looks like now it's Gordon. He can attack Shea. Blows by him right down the lane and lays it in easily with no help coming from Gallo. Again, Steven Adams did not want to leave on the near side corner. PJ Tucker, and he has no effect at the rim. And now surely we must see Dennis Schroeder, but maybe it's too late.
Yeah, that's an 8-0 start, and we did see Oklahoma City come back from a 12-point deficit early in the first half, but doing it again. Remember, part of the reason they were able to do so was Houston missing a ton of threes in the early part of this game. could happen again. Has happened in big moments for Houston in the past, but I wouldn't bet on it happening in any given game. From Wario Hazonia, prediction for where Mike D'Antoni is coaching next season. I mean,
would you completely rule out Houston?
No, I would not. But I think that considering the way that it's gone there, like I can imagine that him not in terms of the tactics and the team and stuff, but just with the way that the contract and everything that they didn't give him an extension.
I mean, okay, so most coaching contracts that you're going to get is going to be a 4-1. So
yes,
if Houston offers him another 4-1 at like a decent number,
I think he takes.
Yeah,
it.
you would think so. I mean, unless it's really, going to coach in New Orleans would be pretty cool. But I mean, I'm sure he likes the team that he's coaching. He's been in Houston this whole time, so I wouldn't rule out Houston. Obviously Indiana. I mean, just simply the fact that Indiana is being talked about.
The other risk with Indiana is, and we'll do their offseason preview later, is that yes, they have interesting talent right now, but Victor Oladipo is 1 year away from unrestricted free agency for the first time in his career. He has chosen the state of Indiana before when he went to college, but he has not chosen it as a professional. And if Victor Oladipo leaves, that team is a whole hell of a lot less interesting.
Why are so many players bad free throw shooters? Can't pretty much anyone shoot 75 to 85% with practice? Well, you might be able to do that in a practice setting when you're shooting 100 free throws in a row. But to do it when you're exhausted, you only get 2 free throws, you just got knocked down in some cases. And then some guys just don't have like the muscle memory or the ability. Some people it's mental, some people just aren't good shooters. A lot of big men, like there isn't, for guards, they're selected for by their ability a lot of times to shoot the ball and handle the ball. Whereas big men, they're selected for by being athletic, and so they just are not great free throw shooters. Some guys can do it. Some guys just, it's not naturally within them, it seems like.
Maybe their adjustment was to tell Dort to attack, but you don't want him attacking in crowded paint. Yeah, that's a potentially. But with Dort, he's trying to make these very basic reads, but they're not basic. And I think Houston knows that he can't make any elaborate passes, and that's creating some big problems for OKC's offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are open, but Houston is going to do a good job at getting in the passing lanes. And Harden, Covington, Westbrook, like those guys are pretty good steals guy. Houston forces just about the most turnovers in the league now. Now that they've gone to this small alignment.
Shea is getting cooked by everyone he guards. Is he really that bad on defense? No, he's not. But these are some tough matchups. James Harden is a pain for almost everybody to defend.
All right, we're back here. Chris Paul, let's see if he can start to take over. It is Schroeder in the game. Gallo is out now, and Gilgeous-Alexander gets into the lane against Covington. Knocked him backwards. Good job by Gilgeous-Alexander legally shoving off Covington that time without extending the arm. Here's Gordon. Gets it back to Harden against Paul. I'm sorry, it's not Gallo who's out. It's Dort who is out. Here's Gordon, mid-ranger. Westbrook tried to keep it alive, and Covington just takes it away from Gilgeous-Alexander. Man, that guy is a shark. Now Harden against Gilgeous-Alexander. Gets by him. Eluding Schroeder beautifully and lays it in. And now they have no answer for James Harden with Dort out of the game, and he's going to just start cooking these guys in ISO. Gilgeous-Alexander out to Paul. Oh, big miss from Chris Paul. They've had 3 threes go in and out in the last 4 minutes or so. And then Covington getting past Paul, but of course stripped from behind. Robert Covington, a very poor finisher. And Paul took advantage of that after getting beaten on the back door.
And that was totally the right pass by Russell Westbrook. And it was good to see him look up and pushed a little bit in transition, not his usual force, but just couldn't get it all the way to the basket.
Yeah, so I want to see what Houston is going to do. I mean, Schroeder guarding Harden, like now he can get to the step back on. No, he just plows right through him, sets up Tucker, who wasn't ready to shoot. Now, total miscommunication between Gallo and Paul, and they're lucky that Tucker missed that one. Gallo has really struggled to get going. Adams was open on the roll, and then the pass is too late, and Harden came off Gilgeous-Alexander beautifully. Here's Gordon on the push, going right in, fouled. it does seem, Danny, like it's starting to slip away from OKC a little bit here.
Yeah, and they have really limited. I mean, this is a very different Thunder team than the last couple of years, but an old refrain has been they have too many one-way players, and I think that's true yet again. They can go to guys like Lou Dort. Lou Dort has some real upside, but we've seen the downside there too. And Schroeder can be attacked pretty easily in one-on-one by some of these guys. And so OKC, they don't really have any guys that split the difference that are really through lines here, other than like Chris Paul. And Shea hasn't been pretty good, hasn't been good on defense in this series either.
Yeah, no, he's really struggling. He's made some plays to help guy, but yeah, I mean, he and Shooter, they can't guard Harden. And Chris Paul is too small himself. Like, he can't get enough of a contest on that step back. So,
and Gallo can't really either. Like, there's nobody in this 5-man lineup for OKC that I would trust to guard James Harden.
and so now they're going to have to help a little bit more. Here's Paul on the drive, intercepted by Gordon. He was out of control. Gordon looking to push it. Hesitation, going right through Schroeder again. And this strength of the Houston Rockets is overpowering guys like Shea and Schroeder right now.
Well, and the other thing that's making OKC's offense look a lot worse is turnovers. I think they had 7 in the first half, and now they have 11 total.
Yeah, they've been some live ball turnovers too. 15-point
Yes.
Houston lead. Schroeder trying to attack Gordon. He's the one guy who can actually keep up with him. They don't really run anything, though, to get a matchup. Now it's Gallo, and Gallo with the total bullshit foul drawing.
At least they're not going to give him free throws on this, hopefully.
Yeah, that's the one nice thing about them not going to Gallo as much, is that we haven't seen as much of his theatrics.
And Houston does a great job of kind of watching opponents' eyes and kind of predicting where passes are going to go. And especially because that'll be interesting if they face the Lakers in the next round, because LeBron's pass velocity is insane. But it works against OKC. They don't really have imaginative passers.
Harden has been good defensively tonight, Danny. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. Especially because he's been able to do more in the passing lanes with Dort on the floor.
Yeah, but they haven't successfully attacked him at all off the dribble either. I think they haven't tried enough. Now here's House on the roll. Covington, he'll fire. Oh, yeah, Robert Covington can't miss in the third quarter, and this series could be spiraling away from OKC now. They trail by 18. 15-point disadvantage just in this quarter. Schroeder tries to sneak it through. Can't do it. Swings it around. Gets it back. Short. Adams among 3 guys. And right there, it's weird because they've done a good job of this previously. See, Covington just tries to grab the rebound. If you just get even a hand on it at all, you can knock it away from Adams, and you've got a bunch of other guys right there.
Yeah, that's something that I've fixated on for about 4 years now, is that directing a rebound to a specific area is often more valuable than grabbing it yourself, unless you can get it clean.
Oh, and then they throw it away again. What a terrible pass from Schroeder. Here's Gordon going right in, and it's a 19-point lead. And what a terrible pass.
This is a 19-2 run to start the third quarter for the Houston Rockets. And I think that's 6 turnovers so far. It might be 5 for OKC. All of them, I think, have been live ball.
Yeah, and I misspoke. Actually, it's a 20-point Houston advantage. 67-47, and Donovan has not had the right buttons to push. He did go to Schroeder, but if they're just going to turn the ball over like this, like, it doesn't matter who you've got out there defensively, and this is a big problem. And we'll see if they can get back into it with some of these bench units out here now, but that may be their only hope in this starters versus starters section. They're getting demolished. And Houston also, what have they hit? 3 threes already in this quarter? Yeah. Yeah, so that's been a huge part of it too. And OKC, they're down to 17% from downtown. You want to know who is second on the Thunder in field goal attempts right now, Danny?
So who's behind Dort?
No, Schroeder actually just eclipsed him.
Okay.
And Dort is 2 of 12, 0 of 8 from 3 with 2 turnovers.
Yeah, and they've been. I'm going to be interested. I don't think you can get those stats in game, but after the game, of OKC's offensive rating in Lou Dort's minutes, because they really did. They just never really got any headway, because Houston, they're the best team in the league, I would say, at not defending the players that you don't need to defend. And that Lou Dort's been a killer there. And this is like what we thought this series might be. It took a little while to get there, and it's not necessary. And it hasn't been Russell Westbrook being superlative or anything like that, but the Rockets are just playing. They're playing their game.
Yeah, and Russell Westbrook has played 18 minutes now. He played 13 in the first half, and I imagine he's probably going to be out now, and it'll be Harden's show to run. Eric Gordon also has been wonderful tonight.
Yes.
He's 8 out of 12 on 2-pointers, has 2 steals. He's actually plus 25 with 18 points in this game. Let's hit some questions real quickly.
Yeah, we can do this one from BT. West has the better first round, thinks the East will have a much better second round. Do you agree? Yes, absolutely. I think that my number one series in the second round is Boston-Toronto series that we're extremely excited for. We previewed that on the podcast that will come out early released for Dunked on Prime. My least interesting series is probably, if things go this way, Clippers-Jazz, and then and then we'll see with Bucks-Miami. I think we'll know a lot more after games 1 and 2. But I'd say the East second round will be much better than the West. But the West Conference Finals, if it's the top 2 teams, will probably be better than the East.
Houston's playing a bit faster at the Westbrook effect. I don't think so. I haven't seen many times when he's really pushed it.
Getting what is it, 8 steals? I think that leads to 9 steals. That leads to a team playing a wee bit faster.
Let's see here.
Westbrook hasn't pushed particularly well.
If Steven Adams isn't offensive rebounding, isn't rim protecting, why is he out there? Yeah, I mean, I think he has offensive rebounded, although a lot of it came early. But yeah, you do wonder, like, what is the point of having him out there? Especially if their scheme is, let's just have him stick to PJ Tucker in the corner.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, you do start to wonder about it a little bit. And, if they should bring Dort back in, make him the center. Let's see what they've got here now. Now, it's still the same 5. Here's Chris Paul, who's done little, but that time they go at James Harden. They just did not have the right defense. It was a little Spain pick and roll action, and Harden got completely wrong-sided. Part of that was House not forcing him the way Harden was expecting. Here's Tucker with the corner 3. So they have changed that up a little bit. It looks like to have Adams help more, but it goes over the top of the backboard. And maybe that's the thought now is we're giving up so many layups, we're going to just have to take our chances with these guys bombing away. And that is a high variance strategy for OKC defensively. Same play again. Paul gets Harden switched onto him. Swinging around to Gallo. He attacks Harden with a nice help. And Gallo, he had Paul wide open up at the top, and he threw it to the wrong place. Another turnover. Yeah, Gallo, not the greatest passer, and Harden came off of Paul to force him to pick up his dribble, and Gallo did not recognize where the double team came from. Here's Harden off at 2 screens. They're going to get PJ Tucker with his 4th here. And now Tucker, he's got to get teed up for that. Schroeder was complaining to the referee. Maybe Tucker thought that Schroeder did something on that screening action. Those are 2 relatively hot-headed players. Let's see if we can catch it. Yeah, I don't know what he thought. Oh, I see. He got the forearm between the legs of Tucker. And this should probably get reviewed here, and this might be a flagrant on Schroeder.
Yeah, and remember, we talk about this a lot with a flagrant foul. One of the things is, does it cause a response?
Yes.
And PJ Tucker responding, so potentially that elevates it.
Yeah. I mean, if PJ Tucker doesn't go start talking shit to him, I don't know if this gets reviewed or not. Let's see. So I've got it in front of me here, Danny. The criteria. Woo! Flagrant foul criteria: the severity of the contact, whether the player was making a legitimate basketball play. Severity of the contact, it's, relatively severe. It's certainly, we've seen flagrant fouls for this in the past. Legitimate basketball play, no, hitting someone in the nuts is not that. The fouling player wound up, that's usually more of a criteria for fouls going at the basket. Potential for injury, severity of the actual injury, and the outcome of the contact, e.g. whether it led to an altercation. So PJ Tucker has within his control, although he actually makes contact with Schroeder there too, so that's going to get reviewed.
And it's interesting to me that the broadcast isn't focusing on the right thing. They're focusing on the little issue, and maybe that's what the refs are looking at, but we haven't seen a real replay of the contact that led to this, which is the real question that you and I are interested in.
Yeah, I mean Tucker is probably see if you're PJ Tucker, what you got to do there is just like lay on the ground in agony afterwards, even if it's not too agonizing. Although he does seem to be struggling now, but yeah, I mean this is now under normal circumstances he's probably going to be at least a technical on Tucker, but it should be a flagrant on Schroeder, I think. And we'll see whether the referees indeed come to that conclusion. They're still talking it over. This will be interminable, of course.
It always is. Let's see if we have any quick questions.
This one is a tough one to come up with the appropriate penalty, though, I think. But I would go flagrant one on Schroeder and a technical on Tucker.
I would too. And I don't think they're going to give Schroeder the flagrant one.
Oh, flagrant two on PJ Tucker. He's ejected.
Wow.
So a lot of pressure now on Jeff Green. And no penalty at all on Schroeder? Schroeder has also been ejected. Well, I think that hurts OKC more than it does Houston.
Yeah, because they have to come back and they just lost maybe their best offensive. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely an ejection. I mean, he like Schroeder, where else was his arm going? He elevated his arm once he saw where PJ Tucker was. That I mean it's kind of hard to see, but when you look at when Schroeder raised his arm, to me that was deliberate.
Yeah, so we'll have a number of free throws to settle all this out now. But yeah, I mean that Schroeder's explosive scoring might have been the best hope for OKC to get back into this. And certainly there are better options for Houston to replace Tucker than Schroeder for OKC.
And interestingly, I mean, you think about, I don't think there's going to be a suspension off of this, but theoretically, remember, this series isn't over. Like,
oh, Danny, you know what we're going to see? They can pull someone off of Houston's bench now because Tucker was ejected. He's not there to shoot the free throws. And so Tim Bontemps just tweeted this. Tyson Chandler is who they're going to bring in to shoot these free throws.
Get that playoff check, Tyson Chandler.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have ejected PJ Tucker on that play. Like, that egregious of a punch to the nuts, like,
right,
some
like,
sort of retaliation. Like, it's not like he, like, split the guy's head open with the headbutt. Like, you know, it's like, it's
well, and it's sort of an analogous thing, especially when you consider what was originally called on the floor, which ended up obviously changing, of going with, thinking that it's not going to be called. Like, basically it's kind of like reacting to a no call. You know, it's like when a guy gets a tech for an incorrect call, it's sort of like that. Like, they didn't call the nut punch originally, and so he's heated about it, and I think that might have been part of why.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, that's why referees need to call fouls. It helps eliminate altercation. So some adventuresome free throws here for Tyson Chandler, and he misses the first one. Chandler was a terrible free throw shooter early in his career. Actually got up to decent in some seasons, but, you know, kind of a mid-60s type of guy.
As Dan Wojcicki just tweeted in all caps, Tyson Chandler hasn't shot a free throw since December 28th. This is only the second time he's played since January 18th.
Yeah, 1 second of game action. So now D'Antoni is actually, I think he's going to take a timeout to get Jeff Green in for Tyson Chandler. And maybe we'll actually see some basketball played after this commercial.
But let's use this opportunity to talk about our friends at bookies.com. Bookies.com is a great way for you to learn and earn. Knowledge is money. And so if you're over 21, go to bookies.com/NBA for the latest live odds, expert picks, and the best online sign-up deals anywhere on the internet.
Yeah, you've got Mark Stratman's expert picks, 59.6% against the spread in his last 89. And you've also got, let's see, it's all Stratman
Thompson.
lately. Yeah, Thompson is better, right?
Thompson's over 70%.
That's pretty insane. That
really
can't be sustainable, is it?
I mean, who knows? They're better at this than we are. And Thompson already has picks out for, so tomorrow he has the Nuggets over the Jazz. They're 2.5 point underdogs. And then he has Lakers over Blazers in the nightcap. Lakers are a 13.5 point favorite. But Portland's playing without Damian Lillard. I think that makes some sense.
Yeah, and they've got some great sign-up deals at some of these sites as well. PointsBet, for example, you can deposit $250 and you get $250 in free bets if you use the promo code Bookies New Jersey if you are in New Jersey. So here we go. Looks like we are back now. Chris Paul is advices is received well by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it seemed. Here's that 5-1 pick and roll that they've done a lot of in this series. They double team Harden. Here that leaves Covington eluding Gallo. Covington can't get that. And they're going to try and cut into this 17-point lead. Oh, they miscommunicated, and then the pass was terrible from Gilgeous-Alexander. The little back cut from Steven Adams, there's no reason to switch that between Covington and House, and Adams is wide open to the rim. Now it's a three from Harden from way out to push it back to 20.
I don't have the numbers on this, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Thunder have more turnovers than field goal attempts so far in the second half.
Well, and we probably haven't talked enough about the incredible game that James Harden is having tonight.
27 points, 10 of 13 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, plus 22 in 23 minutes.
And once more there, we see Gallo trying to isolate on Covington, an advantage matchup, but then Green comes over in the strong side zone. James Harden is fighting underneath with Steven Adams, and Lou Dort is not being guarded. Again, they end up getting a foul, but not a ton of places to go. Paul forced to his left hand by House. Dort is open, crossing up, going right at his man House, and that a more confident move from Lou Dort, cutting it to 18. Same play again. Harden tried to draw the foul, throws it off the top of the backboard, and then doesn't get back
was that
either.
A Chris Paul tribute?
Here's Paul in the lane, stopped by House, but Adams cleans up. Back to 16. Harden tried to draw 3 throws there, but the referees did not give him the call. Now Harden back to goal against Dort. Tries to draw the foul, and that time he's going to get it. I didn't really see much there. Let's see if Dort gets the hands on him. How on earth is that a foul? Unless Adams got him on the dig down. He's got both of his arms back. The only contact is between Dort's chest and Harden.
Yeah, and they called that on Dort, so that's even worse.
I mean, maybe that's kind of a makeup call for the last time, but this will be 2 free throws for James Harden. First time really he's gotten anything out of those post-ups against Dort. So yeah, OKC, this is clearly their best lineup now, but what happens when Chris Paul has to go out of the game? I mean, they're going to be in a situation where Paul or Shai are going to be the only ball handlers. Maybe they'll go with more of Abdel Nader now, perhaps. Here's Paul. Wow, he got right past Covington and sticks that jumper a couple feet out from his preferred right elbow, but still well within his comfort zone. Green screening for Harden again. Now they want to involve Steven Adams in it. Covington didn't make contact. Here's Harden getting past Dort right to the rim. And Steven Adams, again, had no effect. He was guarding Covington and was not able to get there to stop Harden. Now it's Paul liking this matchup against Covington. Off the switch. Dort is open. Does not take it. He'll go at Harden into the lane. Leaves it for Adams. Adams, as they had little resistance. 2 good plays there for Dort off those closeouts.
Yeah, and Jeff Green, I think he overreacted to Dort's drive, and that gave him a passing lane to Steven Adams.
Here's House. He almost carried it on that crossover. Gets it back to Harden, who's been molten. There's the pass. House, nice look. Rivers, wide open corner. Three goes down. It all starts with a great pass by James Harden hitting the roll man, and then House knew exactly where Rivers would be.
And a nice job by House looking up and keeping his wits about him. That was an awkward pass, but one that he felt comfortable making.
Kick ball as they tried to get Dort on the back door.
See, backdoor would sound so much better if we pronounced it with a silent T. But no. I respect him choosing his pronunciation, though.
Houston still a 19-point advantage. Paul just going to go at Covington again. And I think they're going too slow here. Paul will pull up with the deep three, and it rims out. He's had a couple going in and out. But I think where Chris Paul has had the most effectiveness in this series is they set the screen a little higher, and then he can attack downhill quickly instead of backing up and letting the defense set itself. Rivers off the drive. Jeff Green off the flare screen from House. And now Houston can't miss from three. They made 8 in a row in the third quarter the other night to go up 13, but now they lead by 22.
And House functionally screened two Thunder players there because they both sagged into the lane on the drive, and so House just stood in between both of them and Jeff Green for the wide open three.
Paul getting past Covington. Harden with some theatrical flopping. Now Rivers, as they will wait for the interminable James Harden walk into the front court. He never even crossed half court, hilariously. And now Harden is going to... It looked like he tried to take a foul intentionally. Then he just blocks Dort from behind. And then he fouls Chris Paul intentionally, it looked like. James Harden was really upset he didn't get the foul on that loose ball at the on the other end, but he really seemed to let that get into his head. He was acting very strangely.
James Harden somehow committed 3 frustration fouls in the same play, but only got called for one of them. He's just like, okay, I'm just going to start shoving people. And then I think it was Chris Paul that eventually got the call.
Oh, Chris Paul likes to be shoved, I'll tell you that. Westbrook back in. Harden sits down. Gordon has done well guarding Gilgeous-Alexander. Here's Dort on the drive. Oh, Jeff Green with the stop. There's a good slip from Dort. They're going to be looking for that play. And now Westbrook against Dort. He is not an advantage matchup there. Nerlens closing out on House. House stepping back off the dribble. That's not the shot they want.
I would have liked to have seen a drive there.
Yeah, drive and kick. Here's Paul, switched onto by Green. Mid-ranger at the elbow. Chris Paul starting to heat up a little bit, but it remains a 20-point disadvantage, and he's going to have to go out of the game at some point here. Westbrook swinging it around to Gordon. Baisley trying to guard Gordon. Swinging it around to Jeff Green. He's wide open up top. Good box out by Gilgeous-Alexander, and now Baisley comfortable handling in space. He'll go at Green to his right hand. Missed the layup, though. Gets it back as Green didn't react. And they'll reset. Gilgeous-Alexander, man, Gordon has done a good job staying in front of him, and Gilgeous-Alexander can't get the jumper. So it's been a bit of a rock fight here these last couple of times down.
But a slow rock fight is a huge advantage for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, and that's every time you can get that jump shot from Russell Westbrook, it's found money for Houston. And yeah, this is going to be a difficult ask for OKC to get back into this one. Paul wants to go at Jeff Green on the switch. Swings it around to Dort, who's not being guarded by Westbrook. Dort can't hit that one either, man. This is ugly to watch. Here's Westbrook. Oh, I thought he traveled. They didn't call it. And a 3 from Jeff Green, and we may be done here, Danny. 25-point game. Let's see what happens the rest of this quarter. Paul going at Gordon, and yes, he drew the foul. Chris Paul, the well-worn path to the foul line.
Well, and I wonder if that long review maybe gives Chris Paul a little bit of a longer lease on this game because, I mean, he got some real rest.
Yeah, Chris Paul, this will be 28 minutes for him as he misses the free throw.
But also the other part of keeping him in might be this when he comes out, the game might that just might be you throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
Like you might just keep him in, see if you can make it a game, and if you can't make it a game, then it's over.
I mean, to me though, this game's over. Play for Game 6 at this point. Like,
Absolutely, especially when they don't have that many players. Billy Donovan doesn't have that many players he can trust. Just give those guys some rest. You're playing again in 2 days.
yeah, we'll see whether there could be a potential suspension resulting from the Tucker Schroeder incident. I don't believe there will be. Here's
I don't
Paul
think
with
so.
a whirling dervish of moves, but it all ends up in the same place anyway. That right elbow jump shot headed to his right. Westbrook pulling up for the 2-for-1 over Shea, not close. I'd really like to see them get Gordon more of a chance driving against some of these slighter defenders. Now Paul with a 6-second differential. Let's see if Green can actually force him to his left for once. Paul setting up Baisley. Westbrook with the closeout. Baisley stepping back. And Chris Paul has a little bit of a flaming bag that time. Now House will push it. He'll try to force it up over Nader, and Houston not a ton of alacrity on that end of quarter possession, but it's a 22-point game here. Should we stick around, do you think? Should we do like one more break, see if it gets closer, or should we just pack it in?
I think we're done.
Yeah, 22-point game with Schroeder out. Yeah, it probably seems that way.
I mean, right now in this overall in the game, OKC has an 83 offensive rating. They've scored 63 points in 76 possessions. They would basically have to double that to have a chance in this game. And remember, Houston can take some of the air out of the ball. They haven't done that well in the series. But yeah, I'm not going to regret it. And if it comes close, I think we're still going to both keep a loose eye on it. We could always pop back.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we'll pack it in for now, and I will be back with a solo edition. Maybe I'll see if I can find a guest for tomorrow. Maybe do the end of Raptors and Celtics if it's close, and then Clippers and Dallas. After that, we'll talk to y'all then, and there will be a new Dunked On tonight. And if you're a subscriber, dunkedon.supportingcast.fm, you can listen to our outlook on the series between Boston and Toronto and the series between Milwaukee and Miami.